Okay, today is Monday, April 25th, and I want to thank you all for being here. Today is a really, one of my favorite courses. One of my favorite things to do is using Medicare.gov and all the different ways you can use it. Anybody that's ever talked to me knows it's kind of my Bible. You can't go wrong if you're using information from there. You can share it. It's always accurate. You don't ever have to wonder if you're telling people the right thing or not. I really like Medicare.gov. We have several courses around Medicare.gov. I definitely recommend going online and being able to, look at those and review those is a great resource. Play around with Medicare.gov as much as you can. Today is going to be how to look up drugs on Medicare.gov. I am the presenter, Tim O'Hagan. My email and phone number are up. If you have questions during the week, whenever, feel free to get a hold of me anytime you want. I guess with that, we'll get started. If I can get my computer to respond. Hey, now mine doesn't want to respond. Well, let's see what we can do here. Okay, as you guys all know, I had sent out bookmarks for a lot of the doctors and patient stuff. I also have, you can see on the top of my little screen here, I have all the direct links right to sites. So I have it so it comes up to be this zip code search. I'm going to go ahead and back that up and just go, because this is where I always end up having to go first. So my bookmark is to this page. When you open Medicare.gov, this is what you're going to see. So down here on the middle left where it says Find Health and Drug Plans, that's where we're going to be spending most of our time today. There's other notable things on this page or how to apply for Medicare. You can help somebody get enrolled in their Part B just by going to this site. Any questions that you have about enrollment periods, in addition to our team support line, you can always find out a lot of stuff here. So we'll go first to Find Health and Drug Plans. We'll pick some local zip here, 92705 is Santa Ana. I always answer these the same way. I don't have coverage yet. I don't get extra help. If the person does get extra help, then by all means, select that they get extra help. The reason I don't select it, especially when I'm trying to do a drug list comparison, is because it'll reduce all of the prices to that low-income subsidy rates. So then they're all the same. So there's no comparison. Whereas you'll see when we get into this, there's quite a few differences from one company to another. So first thing that pops up is these medications. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll put in a brand just to kind of see what that does. We'll do Zoloft. And as you're typing, it will be filling in names down below. So if you see what you're doing, we'll do Zoloft. It always gives you, this isn't effective unless you have the exact name of the medication, the dosage, in this case we'll do 100 milligrams, the quantity, 30, would indicate that it's once per day, and then the frequency. I always leave, I always leave the quantity and the frequency the same unless for some reason it's something different. Normally this is pretty close. If you're making changes, it's an unusual prescription. So just be aware of that. And then for pharmacy, I'm going to leave that I get this from a retail pharmacy as well. It will show us the mail order pharmacy and the information. So I leave this on retail pharmacy. First thing we're going to run into is this is going to tell us right away that there is a generic drug available for this medication. Now, those of you who've been out in the field will know sometimes people say, yeah, I can't deal with the generic. I have to take the regular brand. So I'm not going to go ahead and switch this time. I'm going to leave it as the use the brand drug so that we can see kind of what they're looking at. And oftentimes I'll run it as the generic as well. I'll run both of them to give them a price comparison between the two. people that have had problems with the generic in the past, I learned something through one of my own family members. They had a problem with using generics, and so we were going to Canada to get the brand name because it's the only place we could afford it. Well, what I learned was if you take a company like, for instance, Zoloft, the company that manufactures that, I can't remember who it is, let's just say it's Pfizer. Pfizer will also make a generic. And so there is a way to find out what the brand's generic, what its color, shape, and what that pill looks like. Their generic, the brand, the main company's generic, it will be the same as the original drug. So if you have people that are having problems with generic medications, give me a call. I can explain that a little bit better. But you are able to get the generics from the brand, original brand company, and be getting the original formulation as well. So we're going to leave this as brand drug Zoloft so we can have a comparison. Let's try, that's something for depression. Let's try something for, I'm trying to think what Simvastatin. And I'm going to go ahead and leave it at the default, 20 milligrams once a day, one every month. I get this from a retail pharmacy. That shouldn't give us any trouble. Let's try our old favorite for people that are diabetics. We'll try metformin. Remember, there are quite a few. If you look at these names here, there are quite a few different metformins. So it could be metformin. It can be glipizide metformin. It can be glyperkide, whatever that, glyperidide. Some people are better at these names than I am. But these all have metformin in them. So you really want to make sure that you're getting the exact medication, the dose. A pretty standard dose is 500 in the morning, 500 at night. So this is a 500 milligram dose, 60 indicating that it's twice a day. And I'm going to go ahead and get that from a retail pharmacy. So let's see, we've got diabetic, I think Simvastatin, can't remember if it's for low blood pressure or cholesterol. Let's try lovastatin. I think this is for cholesterol and Simvastatin is for high blood pressure. But let's just get some in here so that we can kind of get a comparison. We'll get these 4 in here and move forward. What's really nice about this is we're out there trying to help people. People want to know the low, quote unquote, low price or the way to do it, but they also want to know what it's going to cost to do it the way they're already doing it. So the next screen that comes up is a screen that indicates pharmacies that are in their local area. So this place, this zip code here in Santa Ana has 17 pharmacies within a half a mile of that particular zip code. So it's always nice to be able to ask them, you know, oh, where do you like to go? It's like, oh, well, I always go to Assured, so I'm going to put that in. And then you know that the big brand places, the CVS's, the Walgreens, you know, Target, Costco, those are discount pharmacies, Walmart. So I'm going to also go ahead and pick CVS. It only allows us to pick 2, so I'm going to pick those 2 and move forward. Obviously, there were a lot in that area. So again, if you don't do anything as far as selecting special needs, if I went into special needs and it had people with chronic conditions or certain people in long-term care facilities, I want to go ahead and do the chronic conditions because you just never know. Update that plan result. And it went from 39 plans just on the regular default up to 57. So, I don't know, do the math. That's like 18 chronic condition plans that you wouldn't see unless you had selected that ratio button. So, just out of curiosity, there are 26 Medicare prescription drug plans also. So, I'm going to select that because we're looking up drugs, not necessarily plans. But sometimes people's drugs cost will dictate the better plan. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what it would be if somebody had a supplement plan. Well, then they're also having to get a separate PDP plan, So I just want to make some comparisons. On this particular plan, on this particular prescription drug plans, it's sorting them by lowest to highest automatically. So don't forget, we have that brand drug in there, so these numbers are going to be a little skewed at first. But this person for $23 a month could get this. It would be $22.92 if they just went down to their retail pharmacy, one of those ones I selected. Mail order. We always tell people mail order is less. It isn't always less. In this case, it would run them almost, $250 more. So you want to be paying attention to that. Remember, there's a lot of rules of thumb, but when you use this Medicare.gov site, it's not a rule of thumb. It'll tell you whether mail order is higher or lower. So let's just go ahead and take a look at this. I'm going to click on Silver Scripts, and it's going to give us more detailed information about their cost and et cetera. So at that assured pharmacy, the cost for the rest of the year would be $4,483. At the CVS pharmacy, it would be $2,292, and mail order would be $2,537. And why is that? Well, because this assured pharmacy, Santa Ana, is an out-of-network pharmacy. So that's why that would be so much more. So there might be another plan where that assured pharmacy is in-network, but we know on this plan it isn't. So you could always tell them, hey, this is going to cost you, $537 a month if you want to go to assured, or basically half that, $263 if you go to CVS pharmacy. And don't forget, we left that brand medication on there. This would drop really low. Right now, it's not on the formulary, so it's $255 a month that they're spending to get that brand medication. We'll go more on that later, but this is a great resource to be able to break down to people. Look, if you go to this pharmacy, this is what it's going to cost. If you go to this pharmacy, this is what it's going to cost. By the way, that will change. There can be two CVS pharmacies. They can actually have different prices. So that's why it's really nice to ask them where they go and to not just have that standard answer, oh, well, if you do mail order, it's always less, because it's not. So that's only in the last year or two, but I've been noticing it quite a bit. So I've been warning people, just don't convince them that mail order is the least expensive, because it isn't. Okay, what else can we find out on here? As I scroll down, it'll tell me the price per month for each individual one. So that's what it is at the assured pharmacy. That's what it is at CVS. Mail order, obviously, is every 3 months. So that's what it would be if they did it mail order. As I scroll down here a little more, this is really great. This will tell you what tier it is within that plan. Here's the Zoloft. Basically, it's saying not on formulary. So on a PDP, this is the least expensive one these folks would be able to get. Now here, you'll see that it has the list of the drug list by the drugs in the order that they are. It also is showing me down here on this last one with that Zoloft, it's showing me the generic equivalent. Yeah, I saw. It's showing me that there's a generic available, and I'm gonna play with that ratio button here in a minute. But I just wanted to give you an idea the difference between a PDP. So the least expensive PDP with this particular combination of medications is $2,292. So I'm going to go ahead and collapse that. Now in this case, Central Health, there's 57 plans. In an MAPD, it's $200 less, and it's almost $300 less, something less for mail order through Central Health, just to give you an example. So best case scenario on a PDP, 22. And you'll see in here that there are quite a few that it's less. The Health Net Jade, is a chronic condition plan that if they qualify for that, they could get that branded medication along with those others and still not be hitting the donut hole. Care First, so all these are right around $2,000. So I'm just scrolling down here, making comparisons. These are all pretty similar because of that formulary option. So let's go ahead and go into Central Health, and we'll see the breakdown for them. Cost of drugs and coverage. Are you able to call them and maybe give them some help? Because they're the only ones. Sorry, we have some people that can't hear me. Obviously, I can't tell you what to do if you can't hear me. So, because you can't hear me. So in this case, on the Central Health, same thing, that Assured Pharmacy isn't in the network. So all the drugs really pushed up the price. CVS Pharmacy, they're on these generics, they're not paying anything. It's that one Zoloft drug that's a brand drug that's really killing them on their drug prices. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch and change this to the generic. Now let's see what happened to the prices. So we changed it to the generic. See if it registered it for all of them. And again, at this point, not too many people are stuck on doing the brand. I just wanted to show you that on Medicare.gov, if you're going with the brand, it'll let you know what the generic equivalent is. So now that I made it the generic brand, instead of using the brand, I did the generic. Here's the PDPs. So again, cost as of today for the rest of the year would only be $265 on a prescription drug plan. On an MAPD, we even start to see even better savings. This person with those 4 medications would be down to $40 for the rest of the year. If they did mail order, $30. So let's see how that breaks down. So I go into the plan, go into the drug cost, and again, that Assured Pharmacy isn't the pharmacy that's in network on this plan. CVS Pharmacy, it would run them $40 for the year, and mail order, it would run them $30. So this is how the costs look broken down by month, depending on where they went. So that's how that looks. And in here, it's showing again that this is a tier 1, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 1. And also all of these have quantity limits. And here's where we can get as far as the drug list goes. Now, something that I always do when I do enter a drug list, at the top right hand of the page, you'll see this drug list ID number, 608-946-6240. If you write that down and this password date, 4/25/2016, you don't have to re-enter all these again. You can save that and say, hey, this is my client's medication, their medicine cabinet, if you will. And if they have any changes or they're looking to see what to do for the next year, if you have that a number associated with them, you can log in and you can say, hey, are you still doing Simvastatin and Lovastat, and are your medications still the same? Great, I have that list in front of me. Let's do some shopping. Let's find out what plans would look good for you for this year. So let's go ahead and look and see how we did on some others. So I can just close these original prescription drug plans, and I'm going to go ahead and do view all. This is also great. These all seem like pretty common generic drug medications, right? So you'd think that everybody's cost would be really, really good. Well, as I'm scrolling down here, some of these have some cost associated with them, even though they're a regular their normal plans. Now, HealthNet looked really good when we were looking at when it was a brand drug, but in this case, like the Sapphire Premier is the Medi-Medi plan. It's a look-alike. You wouldn't obviously put somebody on this unless they were Medi-Medi. But if they lose their Medi-Medi eligibility, or they never got it to begin with, or you put them on this plan, you can see that they'd be paying $250 for these medications, whereas if they were just on a standard plan, they would actually be paying less. So same like, Aetna, Medicare Select. Aetna does really good on their medications. Sometimes there's a medication that they don't have on their formulary. They like to use something else instead. So when you're seeing something like that, you can either save them money by moving them to a different plan, or you can save them money by figuring out, helping them through their doctor, maybe pick a different medication. I'm just going to scroll down here. I always think, how they always say, you got the mug with the best doctor on it. Somewhere out there, somebody has the worst doctor, right? Well, what's the worst plan for these medications? Just to give you an idea, with Kaiser, they don't have any out-of-network pharmacies or, pharmacies outside of their own network. That's why it would be $2,800 for them to go to one of these other pharmacies. The Anthem Blue PPO, again, these medications, because you spend more on a plan, doesn't mean it gives you better drug costs. This plan's running people $141 a month, and for the privilege of spending $141 a month, these drugs that don't cost anything on other plans are $40 for the year. These drugs would run them $518 to go into the pharmacy, or $642 if they went into use the mail order silver scripts, for example. So these PPOs, they might give them access to doctors out of networks, but if they're in great health and they're just taking, regular medications, it could end up costing them more in the long run. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the mic for anybody that has any questions. We'll see how we do on this. Okay, everybody, I hung up on myself, so I'm back. Anybody have any questions about anything so far?
I have a question.
Okay.
My name is Pamela Bernard, and my question is, if it's not in the formula list, how do you make it possible?
You know what? There's a little bit of noise, and I don't know if you're on your computer or if you're on the phone.
Okay, I'm on the phone. Is that better?
Yes, I can hear you much better. Please ask that again.
Speaker.
Okay, good.
So did you hear my question?
I didn't. I only heard part of it. So if you could repeat it, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. If it's not on the formula, if it's not on the formula list, how do you tell them how much it costs? Or do you use it generic?
It's a great question. If you don't find it on Medicare.gov, it's not a covered drug. It's just that simple. Only covered drugs will show up on Medicare.gov. So if it doesn't show up, it's not a covered drug.
Okay. So
they're very rare.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
I have a question. Another question.
Okay.
Now, I've had people tell me, I'm new at doing this, so I've had people tell me, I've already signed up for Medicare, and I don't want anything else. This is all I want. And I try to tell them that, the drugs are not covered, but they still don't want anything else. What do I do then?
It really is that's our job. It's a matter of education. It's a matter of explaining to them that they have Medicare. You're not taking them out of Medicare. You're getting them some additional help by using a Medicare Advantage plan, which is part of Medicare. It's, there's A is hospital, B is anything out of the hospital, C is Medicare Advantage plan, and most Bs include D, and that's just really getting the full coverage. A lot of people, I know what you're saying, a lot of people are perfectly happy having an 80-20 health plan. A lot of us, like myself now, I have a 70-30 health plan. So an 80-20 is not a bad deal. You can just educate them and say, you qualify for additional help because of where you live and the plans that are available in your area. I'm just going to make this recommendation to you. And honestly, it's their choice whether they want to go with it or not. But a little education goes a long way.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Jean Liang.
Yes.
Yeah, do you have me on your list?
I can't listen to that.
Spirit comes up as a beer. It's M-I. We do now. It's not. It's on the computer. It's not there. That's another thing. Anything else? Okay. Well, I want to thank you all for participating. If you have any further questions, and I answered it. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. If you have any more questions or have any other questions, feel free to reach out to any of the leadership here at Team Alvarez, the team support line, and myself direct personally. Thanks again. Have a great day, guys.
It's just fire script.